Imagine for a moment the journey a single pill takes before it reaches your medicine cabinet. It starts as raw ingredients, gets mixed, pressed, tested, packaged, and shipped. At every single step of this long and complicated journey, data is created. This data tells us if the medicine is safe, if it's the right strength, and if it will work as intended. Now, think about where all this crucial information is stored. In today's world, it's not in dusty old logbooks. It's stored on computers. This is where a set of rules called EU Annex 11 comes into play, and it's incredibly important. So what is it in simple terms? Think of EU Annex 11 as the official rulebook for any computer system used in making medicines within the European Union. It's part of a larger set of guidelines known as Good Manufacturing Practice, or GMP. These are the fundamental regulations that ensure our medicines are consistently produced and controlled to the quality standards appropriate for their intended use. Annex 11 specifically focuses on making sure that when a computer system is involved in this process, it is trustworthy, reliable, and secure. It ensures the digital records are just as valid and dependable as the old paper ones, if not more so. The main purpose of Annex 11 is to prevent chaos. Without clear rules, one company might use a simple spreadsheet to track a batch of life-saving drugs, while another might use a highly secure, custom-built system. This inconsistency would be a nightmare for regulators trying to confirm a medicine's safety. Annex 11 sets the standard for everyone. It makes sure that any computer system, from the one controlling a mixing vat to the one managing patient data in a clinical trial, is fit for purpose. It's all about ensuring the integrity of the data, and, by extension, the integrity of the final medicinal product that people rely on every day. This might sound a bit technical, but the core idea is straightforward. If you're using a computer to do something that can affect the quality of a medicine, you need to prove that the computer system is up to the job. This includes proving that it works correctly, that the data it holds is safe from accidental changes or malicious attacks, and that you have a clear record of everything that happens within the system. It's the digital equivalent of locking the laboratory door and keeping a meticulous, signed logbook. It's a framework for trust in a digital age, ensuring technology serves public health safely and effectively. You might be wondering why there's a need for a special set of rules just for computers. The reason is simple. Computers are now at the very heart of pharmaceutical manufacturing. They are no longer just tools for typing up reports. They are the brains behind the entire operation. They control precise manufacturing processes, like mixing ingredients to the exact microgram or maintaining a specific temperature for a sensitive biological product. They also manage vast amounts of critical data, from laboratory test results that determine if a batch is safe to release, to the distribution records that can trace a product all the way to a specific pharmacy. The importance of Annex 11 skyrockets when you consider the potential consequences of a computer system failing. Imagine a system that controls the formulation of a cancer drug incorrectly calculates the dose of the active ingredient. The result could be a medicine that is either ineffective or worse, dangerously toxic. Or consider a scenario where a company's data storage system is hacked and batch records are altered. This could lead to a massive recall, a loss of public trust, and severe harm to patients. Annex 11 exists to build strong digital walls around these processes, ensuring they are robust, secure, and reliable enough for their critical role. For pharmaceutical companies, following Annex 11 is not just about ticking a box for regulators. It's a fundamental part of good business practice. A company that can demonstrate its computer systems are fully compliant is also demonstrating its commitment to quality and patient safety. This builds trust not only with regulatory bodies like the European Medicines Agency, but also with doctors, pharmacists, and patients. In a competitive market, a strong compliance record is a significant advantage. It shows that the company is serious about its responsibilities and has invested in the systems needed to produce safe and effective medicines time and time again. Ultimately, Annex 11 is about managing risk in an increasingly digital world. As technology becomes more complex, so do the potential points of failure. These rules force companies to think proactively about what could go wrong with their computer systems and to put measures in place to prevent it. It's about building quality into the digital infrastructure from the very beginning, rather than trying to fix problems after they have occurred. By embracing Annex 11, pharmaceutical companies are not just following the law. They are safeguarding their products, their reputation, and, most importantly, the health of the people who depend on them. Let's break down the core components of Annex 11, starting with its stated purpose and scope. The purpose is crystal clear: to ensure that when a computerized system is used for activities covered by GMP, it doesn't create any additional risks to the final product. In fact, the goal is for the system to provide a better, more reliable level of control than a manual paper-based system ever could. It's about making sure that technology enhances quality and safety, rather than introducing new, unforeseen vulnerabilities. The regulations make it plain that the same fundamental principles of product quality, patient safety, and data integrity apply, regardless of whether you use a pen or a processor. The scope of Annex 11 is deliberately broad, and this is a key point to understand. It applies to all forms of computerized systems used as part of GMP-regulated activities. This includes everything from the software that controls a production machine on the factory floor to the complex databases that manage clinical trial data. It covers systems that are purchased off the shelf and those that are custom-built. It even applies to the underlying IT infrastructure, such as servers and networks, because if the network goes down, the system it supports is rendered useless. If a computer system can influence product quality, safety, or the integrity of your records in any way, it falls under the watchful eye of Annex 11. This broad scope means that companies must have a complete inventory of all their computerized systems and understand the specific role each one plays. A simple spreadsheet used to track staff training might require a different level of control and validation than a sophisticated laboratory information management system that records the final quality control results for a batch of vaccines. The regulations are designed to be scalable. This means the amount of effort you put into validating and securing a system should be proportional to the risk it poses. The higher the risk to patient safety, the more rigorous the controls must be. Therefore, the purpose and scope together form the foundation of compliance. They establish the what and why. The purpose sets the goal, maintaining and enhancing product quality and safety. The scope defines the playing field, any computerized system involved in the process. Understanding this is the first step for any pharmaceutical professional. It's not about memorizing every line of the document, but about grasping this core principle. If a computer touches a process related to making medicine, its performance, reliability, and security must be guaranteed and documented. This principle guides all the other requirements that follow. A common mistake is to think that Annex 11 is just a problem for the IT department. This couldn't be further from the truth. The regulations make it very clear that ensuring compliance is a team sport, requiring close collaboration between different groups of people. Specifically, it highlights the need for a strong partnership between the process owner, the system owner, and what are known as subject matter experts, alongside the quality assurance and IT departments. Each person has a distinct and vital role to play in the life cycle of a computerized system, from its initial conception to its final retirement. Let's define these roles. The process owner is typically a senior person from the operational side of the business, like the head of production or head of quality control. They are responsible for the business process itself, the thing the computer system is helping to do. The system owner is usually responsible for the computer system throughout its operational life, ensuring it remains fit for purpose. Then you have the subject matter experts, who are the on-the-ground users with deep knowledge of the process. And of course, the IT department provides the technical infrastructure and support, while the quality assurance unit provides independent oversight to ensure everything is done according to GMP rules. Annex 11 insists that the responsibilities for each of these roles must be clearly defined and documented. There should be no ambiguity about who is accountable for what. For example, the process owner is responsible for ensuring the system meets the needs of the business process, while the IT department is responsible for ensuring the servers are backed up regularly. The quality assurance department is responsible for approving the validation plan and reviewing records to ensure compliance. This clarity is essential because when something goes wrong, everyone needs to know who is responsible for fixing it and preventing it from happening again. This emphasis on people and their defined roles is perhaps one of the most important aspects of Annex 11. You can have the most advanced, expensive computer system in the world, but if the people using it are not properly trained, or if the responsibilities are not clearly understood, it will fail. That's why the regulation also stresses the importance of training. All personnel must have the appropriate qualifications, level of access and training to perform their assigned duties. This ensures that people not only know what to do, but also understand why their role is so important for maintaining data integrity and patient safety. At the very core of Annex 11 and, honestly, all modern pharmaceutical regulation is the principle of risk management. This is not just a buzzword. It is a fundamental, systematic process that must be applied throughout the entire life cycle of a computerized system. The idea is to proactively identify, analyze, and control any potential risks that the use of a computer system could pose to the quality of the medicine and the safety of the patient. It's about asking the question, what could go wrong, and then putting sensible measures in place to stop it from happening or to reduce its impact if it does. The risk management process should begin before a system is even purchased or built. A company must conduct a formal risk assessment to understand the potential hazards. For example, what is the risk if the system crashes during a critical manufacturing step? What is the risk if a user accidentally enters the wrong data? What is the risk of a cyber attack corrupting the system's data? Each of these risks must be evaluated based on its likelihood of occurring and the severity of the potential harm it could cause to a patient. This assessment helps the company focus its resources on the most significant risks. Based on this assessment, the company must then implement controls to mitigate these risks. For a high-risk system, such as one controlling the sterilization of surgical equipment, the controls would be extensive. This might include having a fully redundant backup system that can take over instantly if the primary system fails, implementing strict access controls so only highly trained personnel can use it, and ensuring there is a detailed audit trail that records every single action performed on the system. For a lower-risk system, like one used for scheduling maintenance tasks, the controls could be much simpler, as the direct impact on product quality is lower. This risk-based approach is not a one-time activity. It is a continuous cycle. The risks must be reviewed periodically, especially when there are changes to the system or the process it supports. For instance, if a software update is installed, a new risk assessment should be performed to ensure the update hasn't introduced any new vulnerabilities. By embedding this culture of risk management, companies move from a reactive state of fixing problems to a proactive state of preventing them. This is the essence of what regulators want to see: a thoughtful, documented approach to ensuring technology is used safely and effectively. Once you have identified the risks and put controls in place, you need to prove that the system actually works as you expect it to. This formal process of proof is called validation. In the context of Annex 11, validation is the documented evidence that a computerized system does what it is supposed to do, consistently and reliably. It's not enough to simply trust that the software will work correctly. You have to test it rigorously and record the results. This validation process provides the high degree of assurance required to show that the system is fit for its intended use in a GMP environment. The validation journey begins with a plan. A validation master plan or a specific validation plan for the system must be created. This document outlines the entire validation strategy: what will be tested, how it will be tested, who will perform the tests, and what the acceptance criteria are for a successful test. For example, if you are validating a system that calculates ingredient quantities, the plan would specify that you will test it with a range of different inputs, including normal values, maximum and minimum values, and even deliberately incorrect values, to see how the system responds and to confirm it calculates the outputs correctly every time. The actual testing is typically broken down into several stages. Installation qualification, or IQ, confirms that the system has been installed correctly according to the specifications. Operational qualification, or OQ, tests that the system operates as intended across its full range of operational settings. Finally, performance qualification, or PQ, verifies that the system works reliably and consistently under real-world conditions with trained staff. Each test must be formally documented in a test script, and the results, whether pass or fail, must be recorded with objective evidence, such as screenshots or printouts. Any deviations or failures must be investigated and resolved before the system can be approved for use. Validation is not a project that you do once and then forget about. A system must remain in a validated state throughout its entire life. This means that anytime a change is made to the system, whether it's a software patch, a hardware upgrade, or a change in its configuration, the potential impact of that change must be assessed. This is known as change control. If the change could affect the validated state of the system, some level of revalidation will be required to prove it still works correctly. This disciplined approach ensures that the system remains trustworthy from the day it is installed to the day it is retired. To truly understand why these rules are so important, it helps to look at what can happen when they are not followed. There are numerous real-world examples where failures in computerized systems have led to serious consequences for pharmaceutical companies. One well-known case involved a large drug manufacturer that received a warning letter from the US Food and Drug Administration, which has very similar rules to the EU's Annex 11. The regulators found that the company's laboratory systems lacked sufficient controls to prevent data from being altered or deleted. There was no audit trail to track changes, meaning a technician could change a failing test result to a passing one without anyone knowing. This failure to secure data integrity had massive repercussions. The company was forced to undertake a huge remediation project, costing millions of dollars, to fix its systems and re-evaluate past product batches. More importantly, it severely damaged the company's reputation and the trust that regulators and the public had in its products. This story illustrates a key principle of Annex 11 data integrity. The data generated by systems must be protected from unauthorized changes. This is often achieved through features like secure, time-stamped audit trails that create a complete history of all data creation, modification, and deletion. Another common issue arises from inadequate validation. Imagine a company implements a new manufacturing execution system to control its production line. They rush the project and perform only basic testing, failing to check how the system behaves under high-load conditions. When production ramps up, the system starts to lag, occasionally skipping a critical quality check step. This could result in a defective product being released to the market. A proper performance qualification test, as required by Annex 11, would have simulated these real-world conditions and identified the problem before the system ever went live, preventing a potential product recall. A final cautionary tale relates to disaster recovery. A smaller biotech company stored all its critical research and batch data on a single server in their facility. They had backups, but they had never actually tested the process of restoring the data from those backups. A small fire in the server room destroyed the main server. When they tried to restore the data from the backup tapes, they discovered the backups had been failing silently for months and were corrupted. Years of valuable data were lost instantly. Annex 11 specifically requires that backup and restoration procedures are not only in place, but are also tested periodically to ensure they actually work when you need them most. Compliance with Annex 11 is not a one-off project. It's woven into the daily fabric of work in a pharmaceutical company. For every person who interacts with a regulated computer system, from a lab analyst to a production operator, there are practical, everyday actions that ensure the rules are being followed. The first and most fundamental step is to always follow the Standard Operating Procedures, or SOPs. These documents are the company's own instructions on how to use a system correctly. They should cover everything from how to log in, how to perform specific tasks, and what to do if you encounter an error. Never take shortcuts. A second crucial daily habit is to be meticulous with data entry. Remember the principle of garbage in, garbage out. The most sophisticated system in the world cannot produce reliable results if the information put into it is incorrect. Always double-check any data you enter for accuracy and completeness. If the system has a feature for a second person to verify critical data entries, use it diligently. This four eyes principle is a powerful control to prevent simple human errors from becoming major problems. If you make a mistake, don't try to hide it. Follow the correct procedure for documenting and correcting the error. Another vital task is to maintain security. This means never sharing your password with anyone for any reason. Your unique user ID and password link every action you take in the system directly to you, which is a core requirement for accountability. Always log off or lock your workstation when you step away from it, even for a moment, to prevent unauthorized access. Be vigilant about security threats like phishing emails and report any suspicious activity to the IT department immediately. Your role is that of a guardian of the system and its data during your time using it. Finally, be an active participant in the quality culture. If you notice something about a system that doesn't seem right, perhaps it's running slower than usual, or a screen looks different, report it. Don't assume someone else has already seen it. Your observation could be the first sign of a problem that needs investigation. This proactive mindset is essential for maintaining a system in a validated state. By taking these simple, practical steps every day, you are not just doing your job, you are playing a direct role in ensuring the safety and quality of the medicines that patients rely on. To make these principles easier to remember, here is a simple checklist that every pharma worker can keep in mind when interacting with a computerized system. It's a quick mental run-through that can help reinforce good habits and keep compliance at the forefront of your daily activities. Think of it as your pre-flight check before you begin your work. This simple list distills the core ideas of Annex 11 into actionable points that can be applied in any situation, helping to build a strong and consistent culture of quality across the entire organization. My Annex 11 daily checklist. First, do I know the procedure? Have I been trained on this system, and am I following the approved standard operating procedure? Second, is my access secure? Am I using my own unique login details? And will I keep my password private and my workstation secure? Third, is the data accurate? Am I double-checking the information I enter? If it's a critical entry, is there a verification step? Fourth, is the system working correctly? Does everything look and behave as expected? If I see anything unusual, do I know who to report it to? Fifth, is the record complete? Have I saved all my work and completed all required fields before logging out? Does the audit trail have everything it needs? In summary, mastering EU Annex 11 is not about becoming a computer expert or a regulatory lawyer. It is about understanding and respecting the critical role that computer systems play in modern medicine. These regulations are not there to make life more difficult. They are there to provide a framework of trust. They ensure that the digital tools we use are as reliable and robust as the physical ones. For patients, this is a silent guarantee that the medicines they take are underpinned by systems that are secure, validated, and under control. This builds confidence in the healthcare system as a whole. For businesses, embracing Annex 11 is a strategic advantage. It reduces the risk of costly data integrity issues, product recalls, and regulatory sanctions. It drives a culture of quality and continuous improvement, which leads to more efficient and reliable operations. A company with a strong compliance record is a company that can be trusted by partners, investors, and most importantly, its customers. In the end, following these rules is simply good science and good business. It is a commitment to ensuring that as technology continues to evolve, our ability to produce safe and effective medicines only gets stronger, protecting both the health of patients and the health of the business.